A reflex action is a quick and automatic response to a stimulus. You're probably familiar with the knee jerk or patella reflex. This is a sudden kicking movement of the lower leg in response to a sharp tap on the tendon just below the kneecap. This reflex helps to maintain balance, for example, after you jump. Sneezing or coughing due to irritants in the nose or throat is also a reflex. And there's an interesting grasping reflex in infants. Pressure on their palm results in an involuntary grasp. The function of reflexes is to avoid damage to the body. So, which structures are involved in reflex actions? A reflex arc is the pathway of information in a reflex, from receptor to effector. Let's imagine a scenario where you've pricked your thumb on a cactus, the stimulus. A receptor, such as a cell in the skin, will detect the pain. This then triggers a pathway of an impulse. First, the impulse will move through a sensory neuron, be passed through to a relay neuron, and then to a motor neuron. This part of the image here shows a cross-section of the spinal cord, which makes up part of the central nervous system. Remember that the names of each of these neurons help to remind you what they do. So the sensory neuron is involved in sensing, the relay neuron relays information from one side of the central nervous system to the other, and motor means to move or mover in Latin, so the motor neuron causes movement. The endings of the motor neuron are found inside an effector. Remember that the effector is the part of the body which causes the effect. For example, a muscle which contracts to move your arm away from a cactus. So how do the structures of these neurons relate to their functions? The structures of neurons are adapted to their function. Here are the three types of neurons. We have sensory neurons, relay neurons, and motor neurons. All of these different types of neurons have branched endings to allow connections with other neurons. Another feature is a long axon. Neurons allow messages to travel over long distances, and therefore the axon needs to be long. In fact, neurons are some of the longest cells in the body. They can be up to 1 meter long in humans. Finally, we have this fatty layer. Insulating fatty layers speed messages up by reducing the number of electrical impulses that are lost. It's only the sensory and motor neurons that have this fatty layer. Relay neurons don't. The reason for this is that sensory and motor neurons carry signals over much longer distances compared to relay neurons. What is it that makes reflexes automatic? Reflexes are automatic because they do not involve the conscious brain. For example, imagine your nose is tickled with a feather. The brain perceives this stimulus, and the unconscious part of your brain then causes a sneeze. You might also perceive the stimulus with your conscious brain, but it's the unconscious part that causes a sneeze. Can reflexes be coordinated without any involvement of the brain? Some reflexes do not involve the brain at all. Let's go back to that knee-jerk reflex. If you experience a sharp tap just under the knee, a response is coordinated entirely by the spinal cord. The sharp tap triggers a reflexive kick. The brain does not coordinate this, even though the conscious part of the brain will perceive the reflex.
Thanks for watching. If you want to take your GCSE revision to the next level, head over to launchpadlearning.com and check out our smart learning platform that's been designed to get you top results in your exams. We cover your whole specification and make revision fun with interactive quizzes, easy to follow videos, and more. You'll be kept motivated by your own AI tutor who's here to support you every step of the way. To check it out for yourself, click here. Or click here to keep watching a selection of the videos from our full GCSE Biology course. See you there!